met her around 5, 6 years ago through this wonderful world of social media and also my business. And my first question was how and why a college professor would be drawn and join network marketing. So I'm going to bring her over so she can share her story. Hi, Barbara. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm super excited to have you here.
Yes, thank you so
And
much.
I, I mean, I met you a few years ago. I say a few years, but actually it's close to 7 years by now. Even though we have stayed in touch and we have not, I just love the wonderful world of social media that brings people together, even if we are in different countries and in different places at the same time. And I remember when I met you, I was so curious about it. So I'm gonna let you take over. Tell us about your background, please.
Okay, well, I was a college professor of health and exercise science for over 13 years. And so I have a PhD in health leadership. And I loved what I did. I really did. But in 2013, I was approached with network marketing, and it was just sort of like a part-time fun thing for me to do. But when I started to see that I was generating an income from it to where I was able to start paying off debt, I thought, wow, this is pretty interesting. And I just started to get a little more serious about it. So when I got more serious about it, within a year and a half, I was making enough to where I was matching my full-time income. And I had no intentions still of leaving my job. But if anyone has been in higher education, they know that things can get pretty political. And that's kind of what happened in my case. And I had a choice of whether or not I wanted to go for it and be out on my own and really try and make this business explode. Because I thought, well, if I'm making as much with this part-time as I am working full-time, what can happen if I do this full-time, right? So I kind of thought, I think I'm just going to go for it and go all in with my business and see what happens. So that's what I did. And I, for 2 years, did my business full time. And during that time, my income just kind of leveled off. I never really exploded to that next level. And I was having trouble with duplication and retention in my business. And I was just so frustrated because I would have people and they would come on board and I would show them and teach them, how to be business owners and how to be successful. And then they would be successful, but then they would quit. And I couldn't understand why. And then I was scrolling through my news feed in the fall of 2017. And I came across Rick Gutman, who is one of the top MLM industry leaders ever. And he was doing an interview much like this. And he was talking about retention and duplication in network marketing and how he runs a business school for his team. And I was just very intrigued by the conversation he was having, and I found myself following him. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to him and I thanked him for inspiring me. And I pretty much just told him everything with my story of what was going on in my business and how frustrated I was and that I felt like I was doing everything. And he was actually helping me for a while with my business. But then he said, you know what, I'm going to ask you, would you consider coming over here with me in my company? And I said, I'm really committed where I am. And I said, but I would love to work with you. And then Christmas came along and I started to think how I didn't want another year, when the new year came, I didn't want another year of my life to be like this one, And I said, I don't want to be in the same position. So maybe I should do this, only because I really think I see all of these people flourishing over here, and it is a newer company, and the leadership is there, and they've built 2 other billion-dollar companies prior to this one. So it's going to be a legacy company, and it'll be around for a while. And I just really researched it for a while, a long time. And then I decided, okay, I need to go about this because I need to attract more business-minded people into my organization. So that's what I did. I messaged him and I just asked him something about the compensation plan. And then he messaged me right back and he said, you need to be here. I know I told you you should just stay where you are. He said, for, right now, he said, until you figure it out. He said, but I'm just telling you, you have to be here because we did better over the holidays than we did in any other time, and we're just really crushing it right now. And I was like, okay, I'm in. So that's what I did. And it was a great decision for me because what I get in the business school there is just, it's completely, he studied directly under Robert Kiyosaki for 5 years. Rick's been a top 30 earner in the world. And to learn from someone like that live 3 nights a week for free, just because I'm on his team, that's worth it to me. And it's worth it whatever organization or whatever business that I'm in. Just the financial education that we get is amazing and will set me up for life. And that's the way I looked at this. So that's a long version, but that's how I got here.
And I completely can relate to many of the things that you said. I remember when I started my business, it was about, I believe it was within the first year that I paid off my debt. And that really captivated me, just like it happened to you, as to see it from a different perspective, from a different angle. Like, wait a second, there is more in this. This is a diamond that needs to really be, polished. And that really what captivated my attention. And it sounds exactly the same to you.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that you started matching your income, and that really, I know that when we find passion over, well, I shouldn't say commitment, but it's more like over something that we must do, because most of us, we go to school, we get a profession because that's how culture teaches us that we need to grow and get a degree, and you have to work hard. I was a hustler. I still am, but from a smarter way. I'm proud to say that now I'm a smarter hustler.
Yes.
But just the fact that we had been trained with this mentality that, you're supposed to work in the traditional way, which is work for somebody else, corporate America. And a lot of people have that fear to walk away from, their degrees, their career. And they have a lot of fear as to what are people going to say, what people are going to think. What made you make that decision that, what, this is something that might be fulfilling? Tell us a little bit that, what was that push that you stepped away from being a professor into this?
Well, really, the push was that I had a pain point. I had completely lost my confidence and my motivation, I would say, for the profession. And that was horrible because I loved the profession, and I would actually get up every morning and I couldn't wait to go to work. And I felt so beaten down. I mean, and I don't even know if I've ever even talked about this live on social media. I felt so beaten down, and I felt like I must just be horrible at what I did because I was getting so much backlash, and I was getting just every single day I would wake up with a knot in my stomach when I had to go into work. And I never had been like that in my life. And I don't believe that people should be like that. You know, I don't believe that you should have to get up and have a knot in your stomach when you go to work. You spend the majority of your time there, you know, and at the same time, this wonderful business was happening. I had so many good things happening in that part of my life, you know, where I was around positive people and people who were visionaries and people who, you know, just were entrepreneurial. And I was learning this whole different mindset. And it's very different than when you are an employee, you know, to take on a CEO mindset. And I just felt myself being pulled into this direction where I was around positive people all the time versus going into work and being told how horrible I was at my job, like pretty much on a daily basis. And no one can really fix that, you know? And I just took a bet on myself. And it wasn't, and I took 2 years away from the profession. I recently went back for a 1-year full-time position. It was a temporary position while I was transitioning companies from my previous company to this one. And because I didn't want to struggle when I was rebuilding, I didn't want to, you know, go through that. So I thought I'll take a 1-year position. And it was nice, you know, having your benefits paid for again. And there are great positives to my profession. And like I said, I always loved it. And that it was good that I took the 2 years away from it, because when I went back, I could feel myself. I didn't have the passion right away, but I could feel myself getting it back. I would say this last year, I was probably at maybe 75% of what I used to be in terms of my feelings of love and passion for higher education, you know. And I feel like if I go back in it again, that I'll probably be back to where I was prior to all of that crazy stuff that was happening at my last institution. So I do thank the institution that I was at this last year for giving me that love back and restoring my faith in all of it. I needed that, you know, I needed that. It's tough to be an entrepreneur. It's tough when you're doing everything, you know, you're out on your own. It's a great experience. It's a wonderful experience. And it's an amazing vehicle for wealth creation. So I it's just my journey's been a funny one, you know, in a way. So, but I mean, I wouldn't really trade it for anything, because I'm not the kind of person that I don't want to wonder what if, you know, I don't want to look back and wonder, well, what if I had gone all in my business? What if I hadn't, you know what I mean? I just always wanted to come back to the point where I don't have any regrets, you know? So, and I really don't have any regrets in that regard. So I'm glad I did what I did, and I'm glad that I'm in with this newer company and that I'm building and we're taking off, and it's going to be even better than the first time when I built with my previous company.
Yes, amen to that. And,
again, that's a long answer to your question. You probably didn't.
I love these interviews because I feel like we're just sitting, having coffee next to each other.
Yeah.
And we get to really relate to one another. And you get to see that we all go through the same experiences, you know. And I was just thinking, and it reminded me when you were saying that you had lost your faith in your profession, because I remember thinking back when I come from engineering and architecture, and I did my career, and it's something that I loved, and I still do, but just like yourself, I had lost that vision. I had basically caged myself in a golden cage. And I always explain it to everyone like that, because I know there's so many people out there that they went for the career, they went for the title, and they went for the income that they wanted to reach, just like myself. And once I got it, I felt that golden cage in my life. I felt what it was to have everything that you wanted, but then not being happy about it because I was just working. What is it? Working to live? No, I was living to work basically because that was the only thing that I was doing. I was basically working. I was getting up very early. I was driving for a whole hour, 60 miles plus a day, working long hours. And there was always an excuse to have a meeting when it was time for me to go home. So by the time I got home with all the traffic, it was almost night. And
Mhm.
I already needed to go to bed when my
Mhm.
husband was walking in, and I couldn't even have some quality time with him. So I remember asking myself, wait a second, is this the life that I personally want to live 10, 20 years from now? No way. No
Right.
way at all. So that was really what, in my case, and I can relate to you, it pushed me. Yes, you had the fear because just like you said, being an entrepreneur is not easy, but nothing in life is easy. I remember when we were babies and we started walking, how many times we fell, how many
Yeah.
times we, fell down, we got up and we kept walking. I think entrepreneurship is the same way, and everything in life, whether it's marriage or anything new that we do, we always fall and we get up,
Yeah.
but it's just having the courage to step away the typical stereotype box that we had been taught to be. They are realtors, whether they are gym owners, whether they are beauty, what is it, salon owners, chiropractors. I mean, you name it. It is so diversified that is really amazing. And even people that have already established business that they are making income, but it's just the fact that you can take advantage of that duplication to create passive income 24 hours 7 days a week, that there's no brainer in that. So
Yes.
can you uh, care to explain a little more about what that is all about?
Yeah, sure. Well, basically, with network marketing, the reason why I say it's the greatest vehicle for wealth creation is because you can build a cash flowing asset rather than buying one. So, if you were to own your own business in network marketing, when you own your own business, you can basically have you're building invisible franchises globally, and you can do it right from your phone. And the way that I look at it is we have very little inventory, no payroll, no employees to worry about, no warehouses, no trucks, nothing that the traditional business owner has to worry about. We have all the benefits, and we can build that steady stream of passive income where we're getting money 24/7 because we're capitalizing on a system of duplication, and that never gets tired, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it this way, in network marketing, if you sign up two people and then they sign up two people, so you teach, it's a business of servant leadership because you're teaching two people and then they teach two people and then they
Mm-hmm.
teach two people. So you've duplicated yourself 6 times. So imagine if all of you work 1 hour a day. So you're working 1 hour, but the system, all of you, basically have worked 6 hours. So imagine as your organization grows 2 by 2 by 2, right? Or more, then
Mm-hmm.
you could be leveraging thousands upon thousands of hours per week from people who just work maybe 1 hour a day on their business. That is the beauty of this industry, because over time, when you build it, then you have to put in a lot of work up front, but then you keep getting that residual income. And you can build this business. It can be a debt-free business.
Mm-hmm.
And your investment with a traditional business, you have to put in maybe $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 at minimum before you ever make any kind of, before you even start, right? And then once you start traditional business, a lot of times you're operating in the red for the first 2 to 3 years, and then you start to level out. So you've basically bought yourself a job, and you're writing a check to go to work because you're building that business. With this, you can start for a maximum of $1,500, recoup that money quickly by just signing up 2 people and then starting that duplication process. And then you're debt free. So, and you don't have the pain and the headache of having to deal with customer service or anything like that, because we leverage a fulfillment center in network marketing, and they deal with all of that. All we focus on is helping people build teams. And what I love so much about the business school is that we're teaching people these concepts. You know, Robert Kiyosaki always said, don't get a job, get a system. Right? And he said the richest and most wealthy people in the world, they build networks. Everybody else just looks for work. And that is just so true. If you look at the biggest income earners everywhere, right? If you look at like Richard Branson, he was actually had a network marketing company, Pampered Chef. That's Richard Branson. They all agree, all of the big wealthy people that you hear of, they all agree that what network marketing is an extremely profitable business model, and that everyone should basically be doing it, but that it's just not presented properly.
Correct.
Right. It's not presented properly because people really don't understand it. And that's because of the lack of, in the industry overall, lack of mentorship and leadership and understanding of how it works. And that's what we learn in the business school, not only how it works, but how to communicate this from a place of business, so that we can talk to those people who own small businesses or who may have a pain point like I did, to where they really felt like I need to get out of my situation. You know, or realtors or anybody just looking to build a cash flowing asset. You know, you can leave, it's willable. You can transfer your business to a child or to a friend or to a church or to, you can build this, and it's a willable asset that you can give to someone even in the future. So it's extremely lucrative, and it pays out over $250 billion a year and over $250 million per day in commissions to people like you and me. If you put it in contrast, the NFL brought in $9.5 billion last year. That's huge, right? Compared to network marketing, $250 billion. Why are people still laughing at it and thinking that it's not a real business or that it's a scam or all this? It's obviously not a scam if it's the biggest income producer, one of the biggest in the world. So we just need to look at it, because everything is going in that direction. Traditional business is becoming more like network marketing, not the other way around.
Yes, look at Amazon. Look at Uber.
Amazon has completely disrupted the department store industry. We have Toys R Us closing down. Several GNCs have closed down. A lot of those businesses have closed down because Amazon, what does it have in common with Uber? They own nothing, but they run everything. Sounds a lot like network marketing. We don't own anything, but we can build and run everything.
Yes.
And that's just right now with technology, it is the greatest time to do it. So not everyone is going to see it. You know, you have to be a forward thinker. You have to be open-minded, and you have to have a pain point to even address it, to even be open enough to look at it, right? And you have
Yes.
to be successful, you have to have ambition, belief, and courage. So a lot of people are very ambitious and they might even believe in themselves and what they're doing. But like you said, they lack the courage because they think, oh, what are my friends going to think? Or what is this, and they get all up in their head. And that's why they're not, because it's not traditional, right? And that's why people fail in it. But you only really fail when you quit. You don't really fail. It's just like everything else, like you said, you have to fail. You have to fail in this, and you have to fail fast so that you can learn, right?
Yes.
So it's a skill, just like everything else.
And I totally agree, and I couldn't have said it better because when I came into the industry, I had no idea what it was, but I was curious. And as everything I have done in my life, I get curious and I want to know more, and I'm open-minded. And if I don't know it, then I dig in and I learn. And if I fail, I get up and I keep doing. So that is what I love from this industry. And probably you have heard me before say that it's a personal growth or personal development opportunity with a compensation plan, because you have to, if you're not willing to grow yourself and learn, then you will not move forward, because you need to be able to catch up with your mindset in order to see it and have the courage and overcome your fears. And failure, it happens in everything that we do in life, but it's just the way that we want to visualize it. And I love to say, if I had not failed in my first marriage, I wouldn't have found my amazing, wonderful husband. So, you have to have a different perspective about the things that you experience about life. Because if you get stuck on the idea that it's a failure and that's all you see, you don't allow yourself to see the bigger and better things that are ahead of you. Do you agree on that?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And what I want to say about our business school is that it's not just all about financial education. We learn, like I said, we get taught 3 nights a week. And one of the things that really attracted me to Rick when I would watch him was that he teaches, and he brings us to the business school on the 5 pillars. Mental strength, physical strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength, and financial strength. And I really loved how he tied all of those strengths into what we do in network marketing. And I can sit and listen to a training and not just learn something about myself and about business and about how to, move forward, but I feel like spiritually, when he ties it into life principles, it builds us. And that's what he believes in, building the person from the inside out. Because, you cannot be wealthy on the outside and carry it if you're not wealthy on the inside first. And he really builds us, and he takes us and walks us through the rigors of business. And every time we get backlash and negativity and all of these things, he reassures us that, yes, this is what it's supposed to be. And this is a rigor right now that you're going through. There have been so many things that have tested my patience and my, I've questioned my abilities, and I've done all of this, and it's all part of it. It's all part of it. And I feel myself getting stronger every single time. I have something, and I know that anytime I'm pushing that envelope a little bit and I get backlash or I get something that's there to test me, I know that I'm closer to where I need to be. And they've really taught me that, like the mentors, in our company really taught me that. And that's what has been missing in network marketing. This whole business school with a personal development program built into it, that's what's been missing. And that's what I'm so thankful for.
And I do love it as well, because it has opened my mind. And it's something that I like to explain to people, the fact that we have been trained and educated to work for money, but we had never been trained or taught that we need to work for wealth. It is what you do now that you have to look in the future what you're doing now. And that was something that I used to relate when it came to health as well.
Hmm.
You don't look at the benefits now, you look at the benefits down the road,
Yes.
when we are older. So it's the same thing when it comes to working for well. It is not what you are getting now, which you do get, but it is the fact of what you are building for the long run, for the lifestyle, for the way that you want to live down the road without
Mhm.
having to depend on the government, without having to depend on X amount that maybe a 401k. Because
Mhm.
let's be honest, money runs out really quick once you
Oh, yes.
retire.
Hmm.
And you need to be proactive now as you're thinking about the future. And that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about my business, because I
Yeah.
have that vision, and about where I'm heading and where I want my family to be.
Right.
And that's the reason why I'm so into network marketing, because it's teaching me to to think ahead of the game,
Hmm.
and be different from the rest of society.
Yes. Definitely. Yes. I mean, you have to. I mean, people who were in Amway, Dexter Yeager, I think his name is, he was like one of the first people who got involved in Amway. He still gets a check every week, back in like, I don't know, the
Mm,
80s, right? He built
yes.
all that up then, and he's still making, $1 million. I don't know. I don't want to quote the exact number, but I'm not sure if it's like a million a month or a million a week. I'm not sure what he makes, but it's still based on that, all that work he did in the 80s. And Amway is still in existence, and it's that same principle that if you get in a company in the beginning stages when it's going to be a legacy company, you know that it's good leadership, you know it's a good product, you know it's something that you can support, and you have the business school and the leadership to take you to where you want to be. There's really no loss and there's no harm in getting involved just to see what it's about, even, right? And what's beautiful about our industry too, and I think I actually shared a post on my page today, is that I've signed up one of my friends, just to kind of have to qualify for different bonuses. And she doesn't even work the business, but she has acquired so much volume in one of her legs because I keep adding people after her and we all share volume points. So if she ever decides to work the business, she has a lot of stored up volume there that she can
Mhm.
cash into. And it's sort of like she's building something without building something because she claimed her spot, right? I signed her up, and part of me would love to just keep that for her for in the future if she wants to ever work the business. She decides, or maybe one of her kids will decide that they want to work the
Mhm.
business and she can give it to them, and they already have an amazing start, right? Because I've been helping and contributing to that business center as well as everybody else that is signed up after her. So it's a really beautiful, it's a beautiful business model, and it's something that is should really be looked at seriously by people who may have money but no time, or people who are, employees but want to have passive income, or they want to have something extra coming in that can build over time.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just like you have a savings account for her right there
Yeah,
without
yeah.
her even knowing it.
Well, she
But
knows it, but she does. But she's like, she
before
still has
I
no
let you
intention of
go,
working it.
because I know that you have a tight schedule,
Hmm.
what would you say to those people that have done the business before, maybe back in the 80s or maybe back 10 years ago, or they have a different mindset or a different perspective from it? Or what do you tell those that had never done it but they heard from somebody else and they had that skepticism? What would you tell them?
Well, number one, do your own research. Don't just go by what someone tells you, because chances are if your Uncle Joe tells you that, oh, they got involved in this and, you know, never made any money and they had all this product like in their garage stored up. And that's because that your Uncle Joe, if your Uncle Joe had product in the garage, that means that he wasn't working the business. So how can you expect to, if you look at a traditional business, how can you expect to have product in your facility but never advertise that you're open? Or so
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, this is the same thing. You have to talk to people. You're in business for yourself. So you have to, you know, leverage and advertise your ability as a person to be a business owner. And that's what you are. You are basically promoting you in this business. We teach you how to promote you rather than any product. So we teach you, especially with social media, how to, um, you know, how to market yourself as a professional network marketer so that people will see you as the go-to person, right, in their network when they have questions about business or finance or health or anything that you're into. So that's what we teach. And the fact that if you had a bad experience in another MLM, even, then I would say, number one, look to see how much time you actually put into researching that company, its compensation plan, and the sponsor, and what you got involved in. And also how much you actually listened to the trainings and implemented. And then I would say, if you've done all that, then it could have just been you were in the wrong vehicle at the wrong time. And what I love about this is that this vehicle, being 20 months old and already having done almost 100 million in sales after 20 months, and we haven't even hit our momentum yet, and we're already in 12 countries. This is the place to be right now, because we have disruptive technology with our supplements that is just taking over the industry because of the high absorption rate that we get. We're attracting professionals, doctors, lawyers, people in every background, because they can support the business model and the business school that we have, learning from a multiple seven-figure earner 3 nights a week how to do it. So you would really be in the best spot if you are looking to do this the right way, if you're on board with our company.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I like perfectly. You said it perfectly. You do have to look into what you did in the past, into where you get your information from, because
Right.
there's a lot of misconception.
Right.
And like everything in life, you really need to look where you're getting your information from, because you know you cannot trust or believe everybody that you are hearing it from. So educate yourself, and
Well,
that
I
is
mean,
something.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to just tell you, anybody can put anything they want on Google, on a .com website. Even when I was a professor, they would go under ratemyprofessor.com. If every employer just went under ratemyprofessor.com to judge whether or not I was a good professor, you know, I have a good rating, but there's always going to be some negative comments, right? And what if I was judged just by those negative comments that I saw online, that were seen online, and, you know, not by the positive ones? Or, you know what I'm saying? You could find something bad about anybody or anything if you look for it, because everyone's got an opinion. And when you're on Google doing the research, that's everybody can put up a website or a .com site or anything. You want to go to specifics, like credible places, .gov, .org. This is what I teach my students. You know, you can't just go to .com, because a lot of times they're filled with bias and bad experiences, and you're better off just getting it straight from the horse's mouth, and doing your own research from credible sources.
I totally agree. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Barbara. And I appreciate your time for being here tonight. We definitely need to do this again. I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And if you are in Barbara's network, please reach out to her. If you are on my network, please reach out to me. We would be more than happy to, sit down, have a talk, maybe even a three-way call. Whatever it is that you have doubts and you have questions about, feel free to reach out. That's the only way that you can educate yourself and, move yourself forward in life.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks
Well,
so much.
have a great night.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.